being here. Tonight we're doing many things. We're having a council meeting. We're having some public meetings in regards to certain rezoning applications, and we're having a committee of adjustment meeting. So the way that we typically do this is we start with committee of adjustment, and then we will transition into our council meeting, during which time there will be a couple of public meetings in regards to applications that are moving forward. The reason we start with committee of adjustment is it tends to be shorter. In our experience, we were letting previous times we were making our committee of adjustment applicants wait until the very, very, very end, when often their applications were the shortest in terms of the discussion required. So that's why we're going to start with our committee of adjustment meeting. Of course, we will ask to begin that Council approve the minutes from the July 11th, 2022 Committee of Adjustment. And I believe, Ms. Wood, are you going to act as our secretary this evening? You are. Okay, excellent. So we've declared the meeting open. We are now formally convening the Committee of Adjustment meeting. And as just stated, we are looking, council colleagues, for a mover and a seconder from the July 11th, 2022 meeting minutes. Can I have a mover and a seconder, please? Councillor Barclay, Councillor Strakian. Thank you. Is there any discussion in terms of those July 11th minutes? It's fairly recently, thankfully. Seeing none, I'll call the question for council colleagues. All in favor? Good, thank you. Colleagues, I'll ask for any disclosures of interest in regards to the application on the table this evening. Disclosures of interest is just in regards to any perceived or real financial benefit or loss that any council member may derive from support or denial of an application. I'm not seeing any disclosures. So then we will move to the public meeting to consider application number A09-2020 for lands located at 164 Black Horse Drive, Plan 15M35, Lot 13, Geographic Township of Oxford and Rideau, now the Municipality of North Grenville, to provide relief from the permitted lot coverage. I must advise you that this meeting is your opportunity to voice any objections or concerns you may have with respect to the proposed minor variance application. If an appellant does not provide oral submissions at this meeting or written submissions before the committee makes a decision, the Ontario Lands Tribunal may refuse to consider objections. Debbie Wood, here this evening, will act as Secretary-Treasurer and will keep a record of this meeting. Any persons who wish further notice of the committee's decision can reach out to Ms. Wood. I expect we'll make that decision this evening. So are there any folks in the room for this particular meeting in regards to the Black Horse Drive application? All right, and are you the applicant, sir? Okay, excellent. Thank you for acknowledging yourself, and I'm going to pass it over to Phil Mosher, who is now our Deputy Director of Planning and Development. He's going to give us an overview. Where are you, Phil? And council, I think staff would like to extend a warm welcome. Mr. Mosher was with the municipality and very well respected and liked. He left for a while, and he's back with us again. So thank you, Mr. Mosher, for your service, and I'll pass it over to you.
Thank you, Your Worship. If I could get the next slide, please. Yeah, so the request tonight is to provide relief from a specific section of the zoning bylaw, which would allow for a permitted increase in lot coverage from 45% to 48% for the purpose of constructing a deck in the rear yard. Next slide, please. This is the proposed location shown in blue. You can faintly see it here, backing onto the Equinell Golf Course. It is on Black Horse Drive. To the west are rural residential lands in the Settlers Grant subdivision. Next slide, please. This shows it in aerial photography. Clearly, this is a much older one. If we can go to the next slide, please. And this is the site plan for what is proposed. So you can see the home as Lot 4-13, the Willow B. That's the primary dwelling on the property, and then you can see the proposed deck at the rear. This does show that the deck, while it'll extend into the rear yard, will fully comply with the standards of the zone requirements, and it would not be located on any drainage easements or other easements that are located on the property. Next slide, please. So it's very much a consistent application in terms of there's been a lot of more recent and newer subdivisions that have increased lot coverage provisions in them for up to 50% and higher. So this is in keeping with that. It's again going to comply with all of the zone standards that are required through the zoning bylaw. and would not incur on any easement. Next slide, please. So staff's approval that this should be staff's recommendation that this should be approved. It is minor in our opinion. It's in keeping with the residential nature of the official plan designation for the subject property. It is in keeping with the zoning bylaw. It's minor in nature, for a very small percentage of lot increase, and it is desirable for the appropriate use of land. Next slide, please. No comments were received from any neighboring property owners. A letter of no objection was received from the Rideau Valley Conservation Authority, and there were some internal comments again about staying off the easement with the development, and that was as a result of the circulation to people and agencies prescribed under the Planning Act. Next slide, please. Happy to answer any questions if there are some.
Council colleagues, any questions, concerns here? Council Barkley?
Nothing specific to this case, but I'm wondering in the future, is there anything we can do in terms of adjusting the comprehensive zoning bylaw to accommodate, similar kinds of deck constructions? So that wouldn't necessitate, people coming in and going through this process? Is that possible?
Through your worship, yes, absolutely. That's something that can be looked at.
Great. Certainly, I echo that for a 3-point variation in the deck. It's fascinating to see that the Committee of Adjustment had to be activated, but we're glad to get the information. Anything else, Council colleagues? If there is nothing else, then I'll just look to the room. Does the applicant or anyone else wish to speak to the application? Pretty straightforward. Seeing not, then I will ask for a mover and a seconder for the resolution in question. Ms. Wood, do you have that resolution in front of you? Yep. Do you want to go ahead and read it?
So be it resolved that the committee approve application A0922 for the following minor variance on the lands located at 164 Black Horse Drive, Plan 15M35, Lot 13, Geographic Township of Oxford-on-Rideau, now the Municipality of North Grenville, to provide relief from Section 15.4.1 SII for the comprehensive zoning bylaw 5012 to increase the permitted lot coverage from 45% to 48% to permit a deck.
All right. Mover and seconder, please. All right. I'll take Councillors O'Sullivan and Barkley. Any final comment from colleagues? Seeing not, I'll call the question. All in favor? Excellent. The resolution has been passed unanimously. You have your variance. Thank you for coming this evening. So that is yes, you are more than welcome to leave. Thanks for your brief appearance. Do you see how efficiently we dealt with that? Okay. Yeah. This is the logic to dealing with Committee of Adjustment matters first, because truly they are the simplest. So I appreciate all of you and the audience indulging us on that one. So with that in mind, I believe we are just going to adjourn the Committee of Adjustment. I'll look for a mover and a seconder over here. Councillors Wilson and Strachan are moving and seconding to adjourn the Committee of Adjustment meeting. All in favor, raise your hands, colleagues. Good. So that puts that matter to rest. So now we're reconvening our council meeting. We did have to meet and closed earlier this evening. At that time,